Hello, everybody. It's time for another great week of Celtic Chalk Talk. I'm your host, Steve Purciello, lifelong Celtic fan for going back to the Bill Russell days. So I've seen a lot and watched a lot and can comment a lot. Before I begin, I just want to mention you're listening to one of the independent, fan-driven shows on the Peach Basket Network. There's a whole bunch of podcasts, and it's really advisable if you like this one, go listen to some of the other ones. They're excellent. We're not carried by a big media company, which means that what you have comes straight from our heart, really, and what we believe in. If you believe voices like this should be heard, please support us. We need your support to keep going, and I think if you give us a chance, you're going to like the content, because I think we're rabid fans who watch and understand the game. Now, the week for the Celtics was an interesting week. They went 3-1, and it was really some ups and downs and all the other stuff that goes with it. They opened the week playing the Charlotte Hornets, and it was an interesting game. Charlotte hung around and played well for the first three quarters, and in the fourth quarter, Boston just dusted them, and they ended up winning the game by 11. Charlotte shot well early and really seemed to play their best ball early, like they were coming out to prove there's something. They ran an interesting thing. They would run all their shooters off the big man, Diabate. And when he came off of them, Boston would play in drop coverage, so they were getting wide open threes, and they were hitting them. LaMelo just went wild. He really killed them. He ended up with 36 for the night, 6 threes. Charlotte seemed to run out of gas. The shooting slowed down. They ended up shooting 33% from three, and so on. Jalen Brown exerted himself and became the player he always is when they need him. 35 and 9 rebounds, but 35 points and some big ones down the stretch to put the game away. Although Boston played the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter when they took off without Jalen Brown. Tatum had 23, 5, and 4. Good game. Pritchard in the fourth went off and had 12 points. That was part of the beginning of the fourth quarter when Boston put it away. Keita, another strong game, 12 and 5. Derek White had 12. Vukovich was still not shooting well and struggling. And that became a problem, and we'll talk about that as we go along. But he was 1 for 10. Walsh came in and played some great defense on LaMelo and really shut him down in the fourth quarter. Or maybe LaMelo just ran out of gas, but he did a great job to get Boston over the top. Boston scored the last 10 of the third quarter to take the lead for the first time, not the first time, but an late lead, 90-87, and then in the fourth quarter, Boston won it 23-15. That means it was a 33-15 way to end the game, which put it away for Boston. Good win for the Celtics, and it squashed a little bit of Charlotte thinking they can play with Boston, which is more important. The next game was Thursday night, and it was our rival, the Knicks. This was a rough loss, 112-106. I'll start it by saying JB did not play. Important piece. Josh Hart made 2 huge threes, and we're going to talk about the coaching decisions in a second. In the last minute to win the game for the Knicks. Tatum was 24, 13, and 8, and he was great. Keita 10 and 10. Pritchard had 23. Shireman shot the hell out of the ball, had 20. 6 for 7, I believe, from 3, but just tremendous. He kept them in the game in the fourth quarter with some big threes that really kept them going. Boston had trouble stopping the pick and roll with Towns-Brunson. Now, Boston plays a lot of drop, especially with Keita in the game. When that happens, you've got Towns who can shoot threes, so you got a problem. You also have Brunson, who, if he gets a bigger guy like Keita, he can make him dance and hurt us. So Boston's got to come up with some ideas to go around it. The other thing Boston did, and it hurt them, they have played where they have allowed, and Joe Mazzulla likes to pick the worst shooter and put their big man on him and really not guard him. Now, for playing the Knicks, that means Josh Hart. Not guarding Josh Hart hurt them. He hit the 2 big threes at the end of the game wide open, and that's what put the game away. Now, Mazzulla's got to come up with a different idea. I don't know what the right idea might be. If Cade is going to cover Towns, he's got to not drop. He's got to stay up to the level of the ball and even possibly go out in what's called a hedge, go out in front and take away that dribble by Brunson off the screen. Because if he can do that, then maybe you can stop the whole thing. And you're forcing Brunson to come back going the other way. And Towns is being guarded because Cater can just naturally pick up Towns off of that. That's one thing he can do. The other thing would be, like I said, put somebody else on him. Maybe even go small and put Tatum on him because Tatum could probably hold his own against Brunson in a switch. But there's got to come up with an idea on that because that's what hurt Boston throughout the fourth quarter when the Knicks made a run after Boston was winning by 7. And the other idea is you've got to guard Josh Hart. He's proven now in pressure situations he can shoot. Those are things Missoula's got to figure out if the Celtics do play the Knicks. Next game was an easy win against the New Orleans Pelicans, which really was a horror show because most of their starters, 4 of their starters, weren't playing. And Boston could name the score. They won 144, they won 18, but it wasn't even that close. They were winning from the beginning, and it just never became a game. Their team, I don't know what New Orleans is doing. They don't have their first pick. But I don't know what they're trying to do. It was just horrible. Boston did tie a record for threes. They had 29. A positive was Vukovich finally shot the ball, and he was shaking off some of the rust. He had 3 threes. Now, I understand giving guys rest. I don't know why they rested him Sunday, because he needs to play and just get himself back into the game. He did have 3 threes in that game. Hauser was on fire, 8 for 12 from 3, and as I said, 29, tying a league record for the most threes ever made. So it was an easy win and nice. Now, yesterday, one of the most surprising games I've seen in a long time. The Celtics beat the Magic by 5 points, but what was interesting about it was the Celtics didn't have any of their players, the starters, first 7 really playing. So here you are, you're going in with Shireman, Harper, and Garza as your offense. And Tanjay played well in this game as well. But the interesting thing was Orlando had a lot to play for. They lost home court in the playing game. And they needed that, I think. Now, what happened, Orlando got off to about a 7 to 10 point lead, and they were holding it into the third quarter, and then Boston caught fire. Couldn't miss, hitting threes all over, Shireman and Harper and so on, and just hurting Garza, hitting the threes, and Boston all of a sudden took about a 10, 12 point lead into the fourth quarter, 13 point lead, and the Magic almost, oh my goodness, we got a problem here. They came back. They tied the game with 30-something seconds left. Missoula calls timeout. They take it out. Now, Missoula likes the 2 for 1, so he wants to get a shot up by 30 seconds. Garza gets the ball on the left wing in 3-point land with a guy right next to him. And he throws a 3 up and it goes in. And it was just beautiful to watch. It was good for Garza and so on. Orlando had 2 chances at threes, missed them both. Boston held on. Walsh made 2 clutch foul shots to help hold on, and Boston gets the win. Stunning win. It tells me also the Magic, I don't know if they're all buying in, and if I were Jamal Mosley, I'd be a little concerned about keeping my job, because I don't know if they're playing hard for him, because they should have just put this team away, the Celtic team away, in no time. A couple things to talk about. First of all, Baylor Shireman is becoming a real player. He can shoot. He can shoot threes, and he's got to be guarded. He shot under pressure against the Knicks and made a bunch in the fourth quarter. Yesterday, he shot real well. He had a lot of points, and he was great. He had 30. Harper had 27, and it was just a great thing. Luka had 27 and 12 rebounds. Luka is an outstanding rebounder. Vukovich, you got to like his baseball card, back of his card, meaning he's had a great career. So you got to go with him. But that brings up something that's interesting. Luka Garza has done nothing to lose his position. He's played well. Yesterday was a great example. Keep in mind, Orlando had their best players out there. Boston didn't, and Luka showed up as a better player than Wendell Carter, who's a nice basketball player. He's the Magic center. So it says a lot for Luka, how hard he works. You got to admire him. If I'm the Celtics, okay, you got Vukovich. Unless Vukovich wants to come back cheap next year, I go with Garza as my backup. I know we need rim protection, and Luka doesn't provide that. But he could score off the bench, and he can help you. The other thing we'll talk about for a second is the playoffs. Playoffs are beginning. Boston will play Saturday, I believe, or Sunday rather, at 1 o'clock. They will play the winner of the Philadelphia-Orlando game. I'm not concerned about Orlando, though they have talent. I don't think they are playing well together, and I don't think they want to be together. I don't think there is a great deal of affinity between the team. Philadelphia could be interesting, but they have no Embiid, so I think Boston would be a pretty good favorite and should be okay. Boston's got to sort out some things about minutes. Ugo didn't play yesterday. He was hurt. But they've got to figure out how much they're going to use Walsh, how much they're going to use Shireman, and so on. Walsh is a spark. Either he's got it or he doesn't. So you find out usually the first couple minutes if he's got it. Shireman is just a steady player, moves his feet, stays in front of people. Fun to watch. So that's the big choice there. Otherwise, you've got your Pritchard and you got the rest of your bench with Vuk or Garza and so on. But those are the decisions that have to be made. I don't think Ugo will be getting big-time playing time, meaning in tough situations. So that's where we are. We're opening up Sunday. We'll be back next Monday with another show. And again, if you've just heard us for the first time, come on back, because I'm always there and I'm always to listen. If you have a comment about what we're talking about, please do it, because we will talk about it in the next week. Any comment or questions. Again, thank you again. My name's Steve Purciello, Celtic Chalk Talk, and just a reminder to check out the peachbasket.net to see other great pods like this one. Thank you.